Captain Slip, it's all over. Australia have come up with the most gratifying, memorable win.
But now they look to bounce back and level up the series at Lord's.
And he's in on the pad, appeals there before wicket, up goes the finger.
The Ashes, the second test, starts Wednesday, live from Lord's.
Hear every ball, every boundary and every wicket with 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra.
And keep up to date with the TMS podcast. Download and subscribe using the BBC Sounds app.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that on Wednesday. Let's stay with sport, shall we? It looked like Andy Murray's tennis career was pretty much going to end in pain and tears, didn't it, back in January at the Australian Open? But after hip surgery, his comeback goes on. Tonight, he faces Richard Gasquet in the first round of the Cincinnati Masters. After that surgery, he seems to be doing well, didn't he? Played mixed doubles at Wimbledon with Serena Williams, of course. So what can we expect tonight? Well, I've been speaking to his former coach and friend, Miles McLagan. I asked him how much he was looking forward to seeing Andy back in singles action.
It is exciting, and you know what, I've learned not to write Andy off on anything, and that goes for the other greats as well. They just, I think they think a little differently, they respond a little differently, but I've seen over the last few months he's done absolutely everything he can to get back in the game.
We watched him play doubles together, mixed doubles at Wimbledon, and you know he did well. But he must know in his own mind, Miles, that he's ready for this. Because would he come back if he was only 90%, let's say?
Well, I think there's elements of risk going forward. So if he thought he was going to do himself some damage, but I think the progression's been great. I mean, he started out at Queens, played the doubles there, covering half the court, played singles and doubles, responded pretty well after that. So it's been a good progression. And now on the hard court where the footing's sure, it's normally nice and warm in Cincinnati, so that, as we all know, helps the body move a little more easily. So I think there's still going to be an element of testing himself, but he must feel that it's safe to start pushing the body on the singles court.
And what about his methods and style of play, Miles? Will he adapt that? Will he try and end points more quicker than he has been doing in the past?
I think he might. The wear and tear. What he's also going to have to overcome is, I don't know what sort of training workload he was sort of famed for how hard he worked in the past. And he'll still be working as hard, but the confidence he got from knowing that he'd put the hours on the track and done the heavy weights was vast. And whether he'll be able to get back to that level is yet to be seen. I mean, perhaps he doesn't know himself. You love something until you don't have it. And I think as much as anything that it was the journey he was on, the satisfaction an athlete gets from pushing themselves day in, day out, and maximizing their physical, their mental side of things, and perhaps he's had some time to think about it, maybe address things a little differently, perhaps. But I think with some of the people who've been doing well in Grand Slams, I'm sure he was sitting there itching, going, I'd love to be playing some of those guys in the semis.
Miles McLagan there talking about his mate, the man who he used to coach, actually, Andy Murray, ahead of that match in the Cincinnati Masters tonight against Richard Gasquet. 5 Live Sport, keep their eye on that.
Getting an education on the text there, aren't you? A coducation about the fact that they're huge. Simon says the average size of an Atlantic cod is 53 kilos. They are big fish, mate. Big fish. This is what I was saying. And actually, there's a brilliant picture here of some halibut cheeks that Mal has sent. I'm assuming that's Mal in the picture with a massive halibut that's bigger than him.
Who'd have thought that?
What?
I mean, when you buy a fish at a chip shop, you kind of just assume that's the size of the fish. The halibut, it could have had a walk-on part in Jaws 3.
It is huge.
It's actually a halibut.
But the thing is, you see, Paul says you should be less sceptical. I used to work in Iceland, the country of Iceland, he says, not the shop.
How do you know?
Because it says here.
Oh, okay.
Cod cheeks would often appear on restaurant menus. They are delicious.
Another one here. I've lived in Grimsby all my life. I've been eating cod cheeks since I was a little girl. They are not small at all, and yes, they are the fleshy meat under the eye of the cod. We've established that the cheek is under the eye of the cod. I think it's the size.
Well, sometimes I just feel we need to repeat these things so it sinks in for you. Yeah, good to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, the family today announced that they're going to give out £10,000 if someone could give some information that would lead to the discovery of their daughter. Now, this money has been put up by an anonymous Belfast-based businessman, and the reason why it's significant is because around here £10,000 is quite a lot of money. So although it doesn't sound like much in the grand scheme of things, it is actually pretty sizable in this part of Malaysia. So when Nora's mother delivered the speech today, she was very teary. She was talking about her daughter in heartbreaking terms. Her father, Nora's father, Sebastian, was there too to comfort Nora's mother. And of course, this has just been an awful week. They came here more than a week ago to have a luxury break, to relax here in Malaysia, in this lovely area with fantastic jungle, which you might be able to hear in the background here. Bugs in the trees. We've seen monkeys hopping from trees, wild boars in the undergrowth, and instead this is now a nightmare for the family that's going on and on. This was day 9 of the search and rescue effort, and sadly today they didn't find anything. No trace of Nora to date.
Howard, I know you've been out with the search teams in the jungle. What are they dealing with, and how are they actually conducting that search?
Yeah, I think even in the background now I can hear someone crying out Nora. We've been out with them in the evening, we've been out with them during the day. What they do is they walk around shouting Nora, Nora, or they'll play the sound of Nora's mother's voice using a loud hailer. They recorded a special message that might coax Nora out of the undergrowth, because she might feel that the familiar voice might actually appeal to her more. That is if she's in this area. A lot of other people are concerned that this could be an abduction case. The family are certainly interested to explore that angle, given that this villa that they were staying in, the window was open downstairs. Now, we've been speaking to the police every day here, and in press conferences we keep raising the issue, could this be an abduction case? Is there more evidence for that yet? And they keep saying no, this is just a missing persons case. So it hasn't moved on yet, it's still a missing persons case, and so they will continue tomorrow again with this search and rescue effort in the jungle surrounding the Dusun Resort.
And how's this being reported there in Malaysia? Because I saw over the weekend Nora's mother standing there really thanking everybody who'd been involved in that search and the time and effort that they'd given.
That certainly helped to get this story back on the agenda. It's really important actually that the family put statements out there to keep the media here interested. Every day we wait outside the Dusun Resort for more news from the family or from the police. The police are quite reluctant to give information to the media. They do have a press conference every day. But when Nora's mother, Maeve, delivered this statement the weekend, that gave a little bit more impetus to the effort. It galvanized media interest, and it has done well in newspapers and websites here across Malaysia. It's not as big as it is in the UK and Ireland, where there's more interest in Nora's well-being. I covered the wild boar story, the football team who were in the cave in Thailand last year, and I have to say, because that was a national story, they were their own boys, Thailand's boys, the interest in that story was much bigger, because this was a national interest story. Here, I have to say, because it's an Irish child, the interest isn't as great, but it is big, and it is still making headlines here in Malaysia. And the hope is that if the family can keep giving these statements and giving media, the story will stay alive as far as interest from the media outlets here in Malaysia.
That's our correspondent Howard Johnson, who's in Malaysia following that story. 5:30.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The headlines then on Drive this afternoon. Many anti-government protesters are still occupying Hong Kong's international airport, despite concerns the police could move in. All flights have been cancelled for the rest of the day. A mother and son have been jailed for life for murdering a runner in Barnsley last year. Carol and Scott Dawson attacked Gary Dean because he ran across their land. The judge said his autism made him a vulnerable target. The family of a police officer who was run over with his own car in Birmingham at the weekend say he faces a long battle to recover. A man's appeared in court accused of trying to murder PC Gareth Phillips. Caroline Lucas has apologised for including only white women in a proposed all-female anti-Brexit cabinet. The Green Party MP says she should have reached out further and thought more deeply. Thank you for all your texts. We're learning a lot. We often do on this programme. We stumble into a subject and then learn a lot about it. Cod cheeks. Daz says, I've just turned on. Are you talking about cod cheeks or cod piece?
Fortunately, the former, because the latter would put you off your cod cheeks. You wouldn't want to eat them.
They would have thought the former would be bigger than the latter, we've subsequently found out.
Well, probably of a similar size, I would have said.
You just did a measurement with your hands. I saw it.
Did you do it like that?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll bring some decorum to this now and introduce the sport with Rob.
Awesome news just reaching us in the last half an hour or so. Jurgen Klopp has confirmed that Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson will be out for a few weeks with that calf injury he picked up against Norwich on Friday night. Klopp said he doesn't want to put an exact prognosis on it, but has confirmed that Alisson will play no part in Wednesday's UEFA Super Cup game with Chelsea in Istanbul. Now, England's rugby union head coach Eddie Jones has refused to explain the omissions from his World Cup squad, which was announced today. Ben Teo has been left out after being involved in an off-field incident at the training camp in Italy. The inexperienced flanker Lewis Ludlam, wing Rory McConaughey, and scrum half Willie Hines have made the cut though.
It's always nice to bring new blood in. I think it freshens everything up. Rory, we've been watching quite closely through the club season. Once he came into camp, he cemented our impression of him. And Lewis absolutely came from nowhere. We thought we'd roll the dice and bring him into camp to see what he could offer. And every week he's just got a little bit better.
Well, elsewhere, the former fly half Jonathan Davis says Wales can still win the World Cup, even without fly half Gareth Anscombe and back row forward Talupe Faletau. Anscombe suffered an ACL injury in his knee in the warm-up defeat to England at Twickenham yesterday.
I still think 6 sides can win the World Cup, and Wales are one of them. Without their best, a couple of their best players, yes, it slightly diminishes it. But I still think on their day they can beat anyone, and they can, raise the World Cup hopefully.
It wouldn't be an Ashes week, would it, without some choice words from both camps. Expected to make his England Test debut at Lord's in the second Test on Cincinnati Masters, Murray's former coach Miles McLagan has told Drive he could benefit from playing more aggressive from the outset.
The wear and tear on the body was so colossal, the style he played in the past, and that might actually do him some favours, just being a little more aggressive at times. But of course, what he's also going to have to overcome is the confidence he got from knowing that he'd, put the hours on his vast, and whether he'll be able to get back to that level is yet to be seen. I mean, perhaps he doesn't know himself.
In golf, England's Charlie Hull, Georgia Hall, Bronte Law and Jodie Hewitt-Shadoff have all made Europe's Solheim Cup team for next month's showdown in Scotland against the USA. And Eddie Hearn says Andy Ruiz Jr. has signed on to fight Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia, despite speculation he's not committed to the bout. That's your latest from BBC Sport.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live on digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
Thank you, Rob. Steve says, I used to buy a bag of cod cheeks to make fish curry. They're about the size of large, extra strong mince and were great for curries because they're quite firm and don't break up. I haven't seen them for ages. But Janice has been on, who says, hi, Mr. Livesey. It's Mr. Livesey.
That's nice, and she spelt it right.
Yeah, Mr. Livesey. Anna is right. A cod is huge. When you get cod from the chippy, that is just a piece of the fish you coconut. All I'll say to that is it's a bit misleading that they make it fish shaped. Why don't they do it square? They don't.
Is it because it's from a fish?
I know, but they don't.
It's going to be fish shaped.
No, it's not necessarily.
It off a fish.
No, a chicken breast isn't chicken shaped, is it?
No, but it's chicken breast shaped.
Well, that's a point, but
I'm not getting involved in this one.
It's probably very sensible.
It's only a piece of the cod. Why do they make it fish shaped? Anyway.
It's not fish shaped. I've got a head and a tail.
10:20, so heading away from the coast. Emergency repairs underway following an accident after junction 9 at Ashford. It is extra slow past the scene there, adding around half an hour. And the clockwise side of the M25, new one, lane closed towards junction 10. The Wisley interchange is making things slower. Full look at the traffic for you in the next 10 minutes.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live, available on the BBC Sounds app. 5 Live Drive with Tony Livesey and Hannah Foster.
It's 24 minutes to 6 now. The Scottish Medicines Consortium says it won't fund the cystic fibrosis drugs Orkambi or Simkevi, much to the disappointment of affected families. The drugs, which aren't available on the NHS in England, Wales or Northern Ireland either, have been seen to help with symptoms of the illness, but the Scottish body said today that there were uncertainties about the long-term health benefits. Well, Charlotte Joslin has cystic fibrosis and was given the drug Orkambi on compassionate grounds in 2016. Charlotte, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Just tell me first of all about your condition, how it was before you got the drug. What was day-to-day life like?
So before I got given Orkambi, I was having IV antibiotics every sort of 2 or 3 months for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, taking countless tablets, lots of physio, nebulizers, constantly feeling tired. It was horrible, absolutely horrible.
And how did you manage to get it?
So I felt poorly 6 weeks after we come back from our honeymoon. Great timing. And my lung function dropped dramatically down to only 30%, which obviously isn't good, only using 30% of your lungs. And my consultant said that, we can give you this trial, on compassionate grounds at the moment, see if it helps. And within a week of taking it, my lung function doubled. So it was amazing.
So when you say, your lung function doubled, that's the sort of the scientific thing. How did it change the way you felt, the way you breathed, what you could do?
I was able to do a lot more. I wasn't having to rely on my husband to help me do as much. So little things like getting out of the bathroom and getting dressed, I was able to do them again on my own. Enjoying family days out and not feeling too tired or anything like that. It's been life-changing for my whole family. We're now able to do things that we wasn't able to do before. So yeah, it's given us a whole new lease of life.
And are you still on it now?
Yes, I am. I've been on it 3 years in December.
And do you know that you get to stay on it, or might there be a point in time where they say the compassionate grounds have ended and we're going to take it away?
I hope not. That would be horrible to have, a perfect life for 3 or 4 years or however long, to then say, we're now going to take it away. So I would hope it would be forever. Yeah. It's not nice that could be in the background.
Do you think it is, or I don't. If that's something, if they've said to you, it's yours for as long as you want it. I'm just curious as to how it works.
Yeah, no, there hasn't been any talk about that it could be possibly taken away at the moment. But like you say, things change, laws change, and who knows what's around the corner sometimes.
Because sometimes you know how much these things would cost if you had to buy them. Do you know how much they pay for Orkambi?
Yes, so for Orkambi it's about, I think it's just over £100,000 a year per patient, which yes, it is a lot of money. But if you add up over the years of hospital admissions, appointments, medication that they're having to take daily, antibiotics, or even if they need to have a transplant, all that adds up. So if you add it up over the long run of the life expectancy, they'd be saving in the long run, but people don't see it that way.
We were talking earlier in the programme about drug shortages for certain illnesses, and of course one of the issues that always comes up is how much these things cost, because obviously as soon as the manufacturers find something that works,
it's actually like day to day. So they don't see any of the down days and really bad times. They just feel that they've made a drug and it's worth this amount of money, not that it could potentially give someone a better chance in life, which that's priceless, really.
Well, there are other families who are fighting for it as well, and obviously they'll hear your story and see how well you're doing and be delighted for you, but obviously for themselves, probably really gutted as well.
Yeah, it's hard. I do talk to a few people that I know haven't been able to get it yet. Carly is one of the girls that I know that does a lot of campaigning. She's got he's an 18 months old little boy, and I think it's jeopardising her chance with her son. So give it to people, let people enjoy their life, make the most of it, and but we've got to get really poorly before we're allowed this drug, which is kind of wrong, because there's a very fine line of being poorly and being too poorly that we won't give it to you.
Look, Charlotte, thanks for talking to
us. During these massages, Mr. Epstein would reach out and touch them.
The clients, after it became clear that they wouldn't see justice in the federal courts, how satisfactory was that as an outcome?
Sure. Obviously, all of my clients wanted to see him held to justice in the criminal court system and put to jail.
Tomorrow morning, after thousands of anti-government protesters shut it down today, a judge has described a mother and son. Beautiful. Looks really nice. It's got peppers, nice bit of coriander on it. I'm starving.
Just while Linda was waiting to do the travel, she was talking about a money-saving device. Was it you or a friend when you were at school?
It was a friend of mine, yeah.
I'd be interested from people on
an earlier accident. The northbound M6 got a lane out near junction 7 at Great Bar. That one's a breakdown. The M42 northbound, the earlier accident near junction 4 at Shirley is still causing queues, and emergency repairs underway on the westbound M20. Still got a lane out after junction 9. Lindsay Chapman, 5 Live Travel.
BBC Sounds.
One half of the Tight Twins. This is probably talking about.
Of course she does. She does the money news.
Probably talking about her big shop now, Mystery Tins. Do they still do that? They can't do that in supermarkets anymore, surely, can they?
I've not seen it. Probably not, because you haven't got, because you need the ingredients and stuff on, don't you?
Yeah, they used to be in a big tub, didn't they?
We did.
Look a tin out. Yeah. Could
Take
be
them home.
rhubarb crumble.
Oh, lovely.
Or a Frey Bentos, you never knew. Right.
Nice. Right, that's not what you're here to talk about.
Brexit.
Sadly, we're here to talk about Brexit.
Yeah.
If the UK leaves the EU without a deal on the 31st of October, we're all trying to predict what will happen. Some things we know, some things we don't. It's expected by some that customs paperwork could quadruple overnight. So there's a new online training academy that has been set up to help businesses learn how to deal with a potential increase in red tape. I mean, quadrupling overnight, that's going to be a huge deal for businesses to try and get their head around if that's what happens.
Huge burden, and of course if you import or export, this is something that is going to affect you no matter what size the business, and it's small businesses that are going to be the worst affected because of course they don't have a huge operation or a lot of cash behind them. Most of them are going to have to pay for some kind of customs broker, but they'll need basic knowledge, and that's what the UK Customs Academy, which went live today, will provide. It's online training funded by the government to help businesses prepare, but the company that helped design it, KHG, has told us that Customs 101, the basics, will take about 40 hours to get through, and that's time many small businesses in particular can ill afford. Here's Jager Wise, head brewer at Wildcard Brewery in London.
It's going to have to be someone who's fairly senior, who deals with the exports, out for an entire week in the next 11 weeks. That costs us money, and what's worse is we don't have a choice about this. If we want to continue trading as a business, we have no choice but to lose that money. So Brexit is already costing us money as a small business.
We had lots of businesses getting in touch with us today. HMRC has issued a statement saying we've been preparing energetically for Brexit every day since the referendum, and we're doing everything we can to help businesses get ready for leaving the EU. But obviously there are lots of question marks, and it's going to take cash in some cases. Let's talk to Alan Soddy from the Federation of Small Business. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Danny.
There must be so many small businesses just like Jager there for whom 40 hours is a huge issue.
Well, that's right. You know, small business owners are pretty busy people, and that is an awful lot of time out of the business. But by implication, that would be also a cost of them not being there, maybe.
Something else that help out while they're doing that, and I think it's important to look at whether if no deal on the 31st of October is beginning to look like a significant possibility, whether there are other ways that small business owners could at least get the basics of how to engage a third-party expert to help do this for them without perhaps having to go through that length of course. Although, of course, any help and support and guidance and resources are very welcome, because an awful lot of small business owners really don't know what they are prepared for, but also don't quite know how to prepare. And there will be plenty who do trade internationally, but who only trade ever with the EU, not the rest of the world. And therefore, there are lots of customs issues that they have carried on that they won't have experience of having to do. The other issue as part of this campaign is to teach the experts, if you like, to upskill them, the intermediaries, the people that can do that kind of paperwork for a small business. But will there be enough of them in time for a no deal on October 31st to go round to help everyone? And also, even then, that clearly comes with a cost for small businesses, and they're going to need some support to help.
Just briefly, Alan, because the technicals are glitching on us a little bit here. What are the biggest concerns that you're hearing, and what can help in the short term?
Well, I think first of all that there can be some financial support, like Brexit vouchers, as we're calling them. It can be up to £3,000 to pay for the kind of things that we've just been talking about for expert help with those new customs arrangements. But also, even ahead of that, about 240,000 businesses that are in the position I mentioned have only ever traded exclusively with the EU. They will need a new registration number for customs after that. Only about a quarter collects that so far. Why can't the government do that automatically instead of them having to apply, just get HMRC to automatically allocate
to see him, the youngster. He ran into a lamppost, was knocked unconscious, and broke his nose. Anyway, Mo Salah turned his car around. Emma Barnett spoke to Louis earlier, along with his brother Isaac, who's 10, and his stepdad Joe Cooper, who posted a photo of Louis and Mo Salah online.
He was really kind-hearted, he was generous and nice. When I walked over to him, he was really worried about me. He said, you shouldn't run like that. He was like scared. And we just got a picture together, and he was really worried about me. And the amazing thing is, like, he's like one of the best players for Liverpool, and he's really nice. And on any other day, he could have just drove off, obviously, and went back home, but instead he drove over to my close and checked if I was okay himself. And I think that's a really good thing to do from him.
So in a way, it was quite good that you ran into the lamppost.
Yeah.
You got to.
He just said, like, why are you running like that? He was like, told me not to run. Yeah.
Isaac, what did you make of this?
I'm not too sure really. I was just like so shocked that I had met Salah, because like he's one of the best players for Liverpool, and he supports my city playing for the team, and he's just like so kind-hearted, stopping. Yeah, like Louis said, he could have just went home, and instead of that he came back to our close and checked if Louis was okay.
I mean, it's quite a price you've paid there with your nose. I mean, we've heard about someone knocking over Kylie Minogue this morning, but yours is definitely the price to yourself. What's the reaction been, Joe, from everyone who's seen this image and getting in touch?
Do you know what? It's been crazy. I first posted the photo online just to I tagged Liverpool and Edmo himself and just say a big thank you. Basically, I don't know what other way we'd reach him. Obviously, we made sure Louis was fine first. It was after the hospital. We didn't want to post it straight away. But no, the reaction's been crazy. I didn't expect it to reach so far so quick. I've had people contact me all around the world. Most of them have been really supportive messages, really positive, wishing the boys well. Obviously giving compliments to Mo as well.
And now
which
you're
is amazing.
touring the studios.
I know.
Like a normal morning,
yeah.
Are you enjoying the life of a superstar?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get used to it.
Oh yeah.
Quite a lot of our team are saying we can't get over how cute you two are, and well done on meeting Mo Salah. Are you going to run after him again, or are you going to try and play it a bit more chilled next time?
I think that when I know he's coming out, I might not run. I might just, if I want him again, I might just wait by the end of the road. I don't think I'm going to run again.
But you two are firm friends now for the future.
Yeah.
You've made a relationship. He's not going to forget you, is he?
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Oh, good stuff, Louis there. I mean, the picture's hilarious. Well, not hilarious, because he has got a broken nose and he's still bleeding when he's with Mo Salah, but it's got that half factor.
Do you want to hear this text from Bob?
Yes, hello,
It says back in the late 70s, we had a local shop.
Then the fear is that our prison estate, which is already awash with drugs, we had record levels of violence last year, that could be pouring petrol on those flames.
It's been revealed that facial recognition technology is being used around King's Cross Station in London. The data regulator, the Information Commissioner, has warned
are all included. Wales will be without fly half Gareth Anscombe in Japan next month. He's been ruled out with the ACL injury in his knee picked up in the defeat to England at Twickenham yesterday. Jurgen Klopp, meanwhile, has confirmed that Alisson's calf injury will keep the Liverpool goalkeeper out for a few weeks. They play Chelsea in the UEFA Super Cup on Wednesday. Andy Murray will play his first singles match since January later this evening. He's up against Richard Gasquet at the Cincinnati Masters. And promoter Eddie Hearn says contractually Andy Ruiz Jr. has signed to fight Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia. There'd been speculation that the new unified world heavyweight champion was yet to commit.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live on digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
Let's get the travel news. Here's Lindsay. Thank you. To the clockwise side of the M25, where two lanes are closed at the moment for a police incident between junction 10, that's the Wisley interchange, and 11. Now, there's also a lane closed on the approach just after junction 9 for a separate accident, so it is super slow along that stretch at the moment. And in Lancashire, the M55 on the eastbound side, all the lanes now open between junction 3 at Kirkham and 1 at Forward. The earlier accident has been moved, but long queues do remain in both directions. More in 10.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live, available on the BBC Sounds app. 5 Live Drive with Tony Livesey and Anna Foster.
And our main story on Drive tonight, thousands of anti-government protesters have caused the shutdown of Hong Kong International Airport. It's one of the busiest in the world, handling around 75 million passengers a year. But it ground to a halt when the latest demonstration moved into the building.
It was calmer than some of the recent protests, which saw clashes between police and demonstrators, with tear gas fired in one direction and petrol bombs and bricks reportedly thrown in the other during one flashpoint. Beijing says the pro-democracy demonstrations trample on Hong Kong's rule of law and social order, and that it would respond to violence with an iron fist. Hong Kong Deputy Commissioner of Police is Chris Tang.
We are targeting some extreme violence rioter. So on each occasion, they will use deadly force, such as the sling and such as petrol bomb. So our operation basically is targeting violent rioter causing deadly events.
Well, we can speak now to Gladys Lee, who joined the protest at the airport earlier. Hello, Gladys.
Hello.
Hi. How long were you there for, and what did you do?
I went to the airport after work. I think I arrived at the airport around 7 and stayed there for a few hours. And we just did the usual protest things, but a little bit different to the